Yo, it's Trivelli. I'm back, and after a very disappointing end to the Miami Dolphins 2021 season and the firing of Coach Flores, there's actually a ton to be excited about for Dolphins fans, and I'm going to tell you guys right now why I think the Miami Dolphins could be Super Bowl contenders very soon if they just listen to this video. So if you can, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get this channel out to as many people as possible. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter so you get my daily notifications for when I'm dropping videos, which is several times a week because I'm never slacking. Now let's jump into the action.
I'm living life like this. Maybe give a little glimpse, maybe give a little glimpse.
So guys, I think everyone here in Miami can agree if you're a Dolphins fan, you've got a lot to be excited about. You got a new head coach, lots of young talent, almost $70 million cap space for 2022, and a fresh NFL draft coming up. Today, I'll be going in depth to talk about how the Dolphins should rebuild using the NFL draft and cap space this year. Now, before we jump into the action on the draft and who Miami should take, I think it's important to address a few things about this specific video. I'm not going to be saying exactly who they should take per round because all of that is literally speculation and can change easily pick per pick. As you see, Mel Kiper and Todd McShay regularly look like absolute fools every single year when their mock drafts are less than 50% correct or worse by the second round. So I'm not going to be saying first round, let's get this guy. Second round, let's get this guy, because first round, the Dolphins get a 29th pick. It's not like they're going to get a top 5 O-lineman. None of that is on the board and none of that is going to be available. So I want to explain draft strategy, cap strategy, and also what we need to look at is the current roster strengths and weaknesses, and subsequently what should be done about it. Now, the strengths of this team is the defense. Obviously, they've got linebackers, corners, outside rushers, edge rushers like Phillips, Ogbah, and Wilkins. They all showed major improvement. And on offense, I think the tight ends, they deserve to be in the strengths category, with Gesicki having a top 5 receptions and top 7 in the league in yards. So that's really good, actually. Pilardi had third most punts down inside the 20, which I think is an overall good measure of special teams gunning as well, you know, getting it within inside the 5-yard line and doing it correctly. Let's go to the mediocrity. The quarterback, obviously Tua Tagovailoa could have been a little bit better this year, but so could have the O-line. We'll jump into that in a second. The wide receivers, other than Waddle, were pretty bad. Safeties really came down to injuries that hurt McCourty, and Eric Rowe was great in the run stuff and creating strips, but just need a little bit more from them next year to really secure a top 5 defense once again. And the weaknesses, guys, the O-line, the running backs, which was the 30th worst rush offense in the NFL. Kicking, Sanders only made 73% of his kicks. He's automatic from inside 35, but anything over 50 yards, he was 2 for 6 or 33%. So now that you know, we have really one of the worst O-lines in the nation, one of the worst running back cores in the nation, and probably a bottom 5 kicker outside of 50 yards. So now that we know what we need to address, let's go about it in the draft. Now, well, if you look at what has worked and what hasn't worked for the Dolphins in recent years, drafting O-linemen has been a problem. Laramie Tunsil, Eckenberg, Austin Jackson, etc. Although Robert Hunt has been sturdy, he's the only guy, and that's a second-round pick, unlike Tunsil and Jackson, where you wasted a top pick. Drafting skill players has landed the Dolphins some great talent. Xavier Howard, Waddle, Minka Fitzpatrick, if he would have stayed, and Gesicki have all come in the draft in the last 4 years, so that should show how important it is to get the skill position talent in the draft as opposed to free agency, where they tend to play much less effective after large contracts and spotlight. I'm talking about Zeke, Todd Gurley, DeMarco Murray, Nnamdi Asomugha, Julius Thomas, Eddie Lacy, Josh Norman, just to name a few of those players in the last 5 years. These were all big signings that led to absolutely horrible production. But we see young players run and gun for good contracts in those first 3 to 5 years in the league, and the Dolphins can keep stacking young talented skill position for cheap and use their cap space on proven veteran O-linemen that can easily help glue this thing together. You know what I mean. Get cheap, young, fast players that are interchangeable. Spend money on your rocks up front to protect Tua, since that is literally the key to success. By the way, all of these guys are free agents as of right now. You've got Teron Armstead, Ryan Jensen, Orlando Brown, Brandon Sheriff, Laken Tomlinson, Dwayne Brown, Connor Williams, Ben Jones, Trent Brown, Alex Kappa, James Daniels, Jason Peters, Andrew Norwell, Quinton Spain, and Austin Corbett, just to name a few. Now, forget about kicking because that's just a hit or miss pick. It's usually free anyways. You get one as an unsigned free agent or pick up a proven veteran from another team. So I'm not really worried about that right now. We'll talk about that later. But let's just look at building through the draft. The Dolphins have the first round 29th overall, the second round 50th overall, third round 100th overall, fourth round 117th overall, 121st overall, 5th round 156, 6th round 200th, and 7th round 221. This draft to me just screams get a running back and another wide receiver for Tua to help Waddle stay open. You might want to get a safety, some interior D linemen, and some of those bigger risk O lineman reserve projects that you don't have to waste a number 1 overall pick on, and just draft the best overall players, period. The Dolphins are missing out on the top 5 to 6 O-line prospects anyways because of the lack of the true quarterback talent this year. Teams will be snatching the big guys quick. Now, another thing that stops me from wanting to draft an O-lineman round 1 is that if you look at the last 5 Super Bowl teams, only 7 of those 25 O-linemen who started for those Super Bowl teams were 1 to 3 round draft picks, meaning most of them were either traded for in free agency or drafted later in the rounds. So right now, after we see successful teams do not need to draft O-linemen number 1 to get to the promised land, but the Dolphins know that they are lacking at least 3 new faces or serious improvement from Dieter, Jackson, and Kinley, even throw Jesse Davis in there as well. Although I see him more as a team-building, selfless backup, soon more than incumbent starter, we'll still throw him in there anyways. So basically what I'm saying in this video is that if we maintain our strengths by re-signing key defensive players, we will be just fine on that side of the ball. Then use the draft to target the best possible skill position players on offense remaining. Whoever McDaniel thinks the best running back for our scheme is to complement Tua in his offense, he needs to draft him. Same thing with the receivers. Give Tua cheap and young, explosive options that cost the Dolphins virtually nothing but a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. Instead of signing big name free agents that will be available, let's save that precious cap to buy what we need the most, which is a revamped O-line. If I was the GM, my offseason priorities would be to keep what is good and build on what is not. I know that sounds simple, but why don't we do that every single year? Re-sign your defensive studs and make sure they're happy. That should be goal number 1, because the Dolphins defense did everything last year to keep the games close. Find the best O-linemen in free agency in the market and sign them immediately. Draft the remaining needs at RB and wide receiver. And if you want to take on a big but unproven O-lineman, like I said, in the later rounds, that's fine. It's not really going to cost you anything. But I genuinely believe the Dolphins are 1 or 2 big offensive lineman free agents away and a few skill players away from having a Super Bowl contending team. Yes, Tua is not proven whatsoever, but McDaniel just made it to the NFC Championship game with a subpar QB in Garoppolo and having a great defense and running game. Now, does that sound familiar? We might have a coach who can improve Tua, hide his weaknesses, draft a running back to improve that, just enough to be super successful in the future. But it all starts with team building strategy, and I think what I have laid out is the perfect strategy that will put the Dolphins over the hump. Do you guys agree that we need to target our big-time O-lineman free agents with our cap space and use our draft to utilize getting those young, explosive, game-changing players like Waddle, Xavier Howard that literally kept the Dolphins in every single game this year anyways? If you do agree with that statement, please leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing to this channel so we can get this out to many more people and we can help the Dolphins get back to the promised land. I will see you guys later and have a fantastic day.
I'm living life like this. Maybe give a little glimpse, maybe give a little